Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to Planet FPL, or today, should I call it Planet EFL, because I'm delighted to be joined by the three hosts of the EFL Fantasy Podcast to give us a little bit of a flavour of what's in store for Gaffer, the Championship Fantasy game this season. I'm delighted to introduce you firstly to Angus McPhail, the most intelligent man I know. Got no chance of ever being a correspondent because he supports more than one team. How are you, Angus?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, James. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you, mate. And let me introduce you to Jamie Roberts, who's also got no chance of ever being a Planet FPL correspondent because he supports Stoke City. How are you, Jamie?
I'm good. It's a pleasure to be on here, James.
Good man. And finally, let me introduce you to Dan Ashby, who's definitely never going to be a Planet FPL correspondent because he supports Luton Town. Oh, Hi, Dan.
Hi, James,
are you, mate?
how are you? Yeah,
I'm good, mate.
I'm all good.
Dan,
You get to
by the
speak to
way,
me twice.
Wednesday, 10 a.m. correspondent week. Be there or be square for all the info on Luton Town. Right, guys, who's the head here? Who's the host of the pod?
Jamie.
Well, I'd say me, based on these two are more intelligent than me, so I host just to keep things going, and they do all the talking.
So basically, you ask the questions, so you don't have to answer them.
Correct.
Quite like that. So how did the pod come about?
God, that's a good question. Well, we're getting into our fourth season now, so when the game launched, I remember I came to you, James, and go, why don't you do some championship pods? And you goes, I haven't got the time. So can I swear on this or not?
Nico Zanardi, so I'd rather you didn't.
Okay.
But yeah, if you need to, do
it. No, it's a word. I'll try my best anyway. So I said, all right, and I'm going to set up a podcast. No experience whatsoever. Set that up with a guy named Rob, who was a Middlesbrough fan. I don't even know how I knew him. He had a baby, never saw him again. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And Angus and Dan volunteered to come on as like guests, and then they never left. And now they are the podcast.
Nice. How you feeling about Stoke?
No. So weird. Like one week, I went Derby on Saturday and it was like the worst 90 minutes of my life. And then I went Burton on Tuesday and it was like the best 90 minutes I've had in about 6 years. So we'll see.
I heard about that because apparently it was the best performance by any Wolves player in about 6 months, wasn't it? From Chiquinho.
Chiquinho, yeah, he's going to excite me this season. He is.
Is he a Gaffer option?
Don't know yet because obviously that was his first appearance. He'd only had one training session with us before Tuesday night, but he was on set pieces, so he could be. And what is he? 6'5"?
Yeah.
Do you know, I was going to say what price is he, and then I realised you probably wouldn't know the answer, so I was going to wait to ask one of the others, Jay. But I appreciate that. When do you guys normally record?
Sunday nights for release on Mondays normally, and then we would do, if there's midweek games, it's normally Dan and Angus mainly do that one, and that comes Thursday, Angus?
Record Wednesday night? That sounds right.
Yeah.
But it might be. Angus looks like he's about to fall backwards off a chair for the benefit of those on the audio at the moment. No, good stuff. Are we excited for this new season?
Yeah, very excited.
Dan, for the benefit of those who've never played before, what would you say is the biggest difference between Gaffer and FPL?
I think just the unpredictability. For example, we're starting a new season, and every new season you get 6 new teams. It's not like the Premier League, who only get 3 teams coming up, and normally those 3 teams aren't going to compete at the top. So none of those options are really assets, whereas we've got Leicester, Leeds and Southampton coming down, who, although they're priced quite high, when we find out what the teams will be, you'll be able to pick them. And then we saw last season how well Sunderland done, and Ipswich could do similar, maybe a bit less. And those assets are obviously a lot cheaper. So it just keeps the game fresh, just having 6 new teams every season. It's no season has ever been the same so far in Gaffer.
No, I'd agree with that. In a few years I've played as well, there's been certain years where it's like, I've got to have 3 up front. And then I wouldn't say last year, it was like, I can just go with kind of mid-price forwards all the way through here. Whereas before, So Adam Armstrong, Mitrovic, and thinking obviously just going mad. Maybe Tony before that as well.
Tony, yeah.
You had to have these guys, and obviously regularly captain these players as well. It will shock some people if they log on for the first time and see James Ward-Prowse at 11 million. It does take a little bit of adjustment to get used to that, actually. Angus, do you want to do a little bit on the boost?
Yeah, why not? So
because this is the Gaffer chips. We can't call them chips because Jamie goes absolutely mental about that. They are called boosts, and they work very different to our triple captain bench boost free hit because there's a choice of 6, Angus.
Yeah, so there's a choice of 6 in each of and they're broken up into 3 parts. So I think it's 1 to 15, 16 to 30, and 31 to 46 in terms of the game weeks. In each of those sets, you get a choice of 6, which I think is quite good because it means that you do end up with people on different strategies. It sort of forces a bit of difference. In terms of the initial ones, there's a couple that will seem familiar to people. So things like in Gaffr, it's called an overhaul. It's just a wild card. But then in this one, there's some different ones. So triple is similar to a triple captain, except in Gaffer, you also get an emergency captain in addition to your captain and vice captain. And the triple gives you triple points for all 3 of those. You got home advantage, which I think we've had once before. I will say I'm not a fan of it, but it's 1.5 times all your home players in a game week. And then you've got Park the Bus, which is double points for all your defenders and midfield dynamos.
Mourinho boost.
Yeah, the Mourinho boost. The midfield dynamos, I had to double check that, which is double points for all your midfielders. And then Goal Fest, which is an extra. So no matter what position your players play in Gaffer, they get 5 points for scoring a goal. On Goal Fest, they'd get an extra 5 points for every goal that they scored.
And that also includes players on the bench as well, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what chips you're going to use when?
Not yet. I think with some of these, like with some in the future sets, it becomes more obvious because once we start getting into things like doubles and blanks, it becomes a bit more obvious. I think in the initial set, you can almost stumble into them. So I think, there's certain things, like I've said, I don't like home advantage, so I won't be using that. And I don't think I'll have to use an overhaul. Something would have to go horribly wrong for that. But beyond that, particularly something like a Park the Bus, I'll probably play that, but it might well be that I get to a particular week and sort of look at my defenders and think, oh, that's turned out quite nicely for this week, rather than sort of planning it too set, because then something goes wrong and it's like, well, what do I do now?
I feel like this might be a silly question to ask Jamie, but do you know when you're going to use yours, mate?
No.
I thought you'd say that.
I know 2 of the ones I'm going to use, but that's about it.
So you know what you're going to use. So what are you going to use?
I'm definitely going to use Park the Bus and midfield dynamos because, like Angus, I don't like home advantage. And then the third will probably be triple. But there's too much uncertainty regarding starting 11s. James Ward-Prowse would be definitely in, but if he leaves, then I've kind of got Luke again. So I can't lock in on a boost strategy yet.
Well, you kind of poo-pooed the overhaul there, Angus, but players are going to leave. This is part of the point, isn't it? Yeah. James Ward-Prowse actually again, it takes some adjustment, but he's probably like a definite have despite that price, because he's going to just absorb bonus points, isn't he? I listened to your pod with FPL Irons last week. He's going to hoover it because he's on the corners, the set pieces, and he can contribute as well in a team that's going to be more ball dominant. They're going to win more than they lose, obviously, this year. Well, Southampton fans will hope so anyway. But if he goes, if you go with Ward-Prowse, Iheanacho, Bamford, just as an example, and they all leave, that overhaul's going to suddenly become quite useful, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's probably a balance there for people in terms of how many players are you willing to have that might leave. How many players are you sort of, going to go safe? Like this player will definitely be in the division. It's why for me, particularly when we're talking about playing boosts, I won't play any. And I think it's the first 5 game weeks because that's when the window's still open. And particularly some of these where Park the Bus, where it's all 5 defenders, you could lock it in on the Friday evening. You've got 2 playing on, say, the Sunday lunchtime and the Monday evening, and you get to those games and the players aren't at their clubs anymore.
So just had a look. Game week 5 is September 2nd. So transfer window will be shut.
The first one.
It either shuts on the Thursday or the Friday before. I was looking at that, Angus, because I was looking at Leicester at home to Hull, Leeds at home to Wednesday, Norwich at Rotherham, Middlesbrough against QPR, Ipswich against Cardiff. Oh, bit of park the bus there, maybe, mate.
Yeah, if the window's closed, like I said, I thought it was 5. If it's only 4, then yeah, fine. Once the window's closed, great.
You could almost you can't use 2 at the same time, can you? I presume that's the same.
No.
So you couldn't overhaul into that in-game week 5 as an example. And to clarify, it's 9 chips across the whole season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I say chips?
Yeah.
I meant boost. Sorry, Jamie. Do you know when you're going to use yours, Dan?
And not really. It's similar to the other guys. It's just too much uncertainty. I will definitely use triple part the bus. I'm up in the air with the third one, but yeah, this year the relegated sides have not sorted out the business quite as early as last year one. They're a bit more up in the air, so it's been very tricky to get a settled team. Like yeah, especially up front, I've been really struggling. So that's very abnormal for me. Normally, I was pretty much settled last year with a team, barring 1 or 2 players.
Presumably in this game, going up to, I know a lot of people in FPL think they're locked in. I keep telling them they're not at the moment because stuff will change. But that's even more the case in this game, surely. You can think, I've got it. Oh, he's gone. It's more of that. And of course, clubs can buy players as well, right? We often focus on this. It feels like, oh, like I said, Ward-Prowse might leave. Okay, but they might replace him with someone as well. Who's that going to be? What price is that going to be? Is there anything majorly different, Jamie, in terms of the scoring of this to FPL? Now, Angus said it's 5 points per goal for a player.
I knew you'd come to me with the scoring. I'm the one who pays no attention whatsoever to it.
All right, shush. We know you're the host. Fine. Angus, is there any difference with the scoring? You can tell this is a comedy podcast for those who want to listen to it, by the way.
So the main thing, obviously, that's the difference. I mentioned the captain, vice captain, emergency captain. So the captain is the normal sort of double points. Vice captain is 1.5 times points. And then the emergency captain comes into play if one of those doesn't play. But the other thing I guess I should explain is if the captain doesn't play, the emergency captain just becomes the captain. It doesn't all slide up. But yeah, the vice captain getting 1.5 times is probably the obvious place with that.
And also clean sheets are a massive difference. So if you keep a clean sheet in the first half, you'll get 2 points. And if you keep it in the second half, you get an additional 2 points. So getting defenders become quite powerful in this game, especially if they don't concede a lot of goals, because you could basically be guaranteed like 4 points as a base.
And the condition on that is it 30 minutes per half? Is that the condition?
Yeah.
So if someone played 70 minutes and they hadn't conceded a goal, they're potentially on 3 points? No.
4.
So 4. 1 for the appearance, 2 for the first half clean sheet. And
it would still be 2 for the minutes, because if it's still normal if they play over 60 minutes, they get
makes
the 2
sense,
points.
yeah. Okay, so kind of 1 point for each half appearance, and then plus 2 for clean sheet. And obviously, if it goes to the end, then it's the same equivalent, right? If you play 90 minutes to get a clean sheet, it's the same. Okay, that's how he's kind of money in the bank a little bit, isn't it? You're going to get more 4-pointers than 2-pointers. So your defenders start on a higher starting point. They become more valuable instantly, right? It's quite easy to pick up these 4 points if you've got a half decent team. So presumably, if you've got a defender and they concede once and play 90 minutes, you should be on about 4, right?
Yeah.
Without bonus or attacking returns or anything. So spending more money at the bank at the back generally advisable in this game then?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like this year, we've had 7 million defenders in there, which is the highest we've ever had. And I think 6.5 was always the highest before. But when you look at players like, just getting up now, like Manning, who's at Southampton now, he's at 7 million. He's a bonus monster. So you've got your Southampton players like Castagna, he's at 7 million as well. Yeah, that's where the points are at.
Ryan Manning is almost a better get, it feels at the moment, than Castagna, because Southampton have just bought Manning. So I know he's not going anywhere. whereas Castagna might, right? I suppose, does this sort of thing play on your thinking in your decisions?
It's got to. So, like, me and Dan watched Leicester against Northampton last weekend, and we're like, Castagna's got to go straight in the team. He's basically playing right wing in the front three, nearly. But he's linked with, is it Juventus at the moment?
Fulham as well.
Yeah,
he's going to be linked. He's too good for the league, isn't he? So it's a nightmare, to be honest. That first game week is a nightmare.
Okay. And bonus points. Who wants to do the bonus points, Clarity?
Not me.
You did a great, I knew that. You did a great pod with our good friend Luke, FPL Irons, last week, and he explained it really well. But can we summarize that in a couple of minutes for the general listeners and advise them to listen to the rest of that podcast?
Yeah,
do you want to do this?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. So the bonus scale, the first difference is it runs up to 4 points rather than the 3 in FPL. So obviously you've got 4, 3, 2, and 1. The easiest way to put it is if you go and look on the Gaffer site under rules, it tells you what counts towards the bonus. There are certain things that are stronger weighted. So particularly if people listen to the pod with Luke, things like key passes, have a really strong weighting in it. Things like shots on target as well. So that sort of being able to identify then the sort of players that do well in the bonus, it's probably, in some ways easier than FPL because it's that sort of clarity of what you're looking for. And it factors in who's actually doing things in the game. So if one player has like 6 key passes in a game, but doesn't necessarily get an attacking return, he's more likely to get bonus than a player who scores a goal but does literally nothing the rest of the game.
Yeah, that was the big thing I picked up. Creative players here. Your chance creators, so people on set pieces, etc., are going to be more important to you than they would be in FPL. And we know people want to know generally for fantasy who takes your corners, your pens, etc. But actually, it's got even more value and weight to it. How many corner takers would you want in your draft? Is it that important?
A mixture. For example, I've got Ward-Prowse. I've got Loser from Watford. Although Watford weren't great last year, he was on some set pieces, so he's creative. So it depends what position. I'd like maybe a few defenders and midfielders on them, and then strikers. You're looking for goals as well at the end of the day, so maybe not so much for strikers.
All right, cool. So, Jamie, you've done a bonus podcast. What else have you guys been doing to preview this season? So I'm conscious of not repeating what you've done here now. I'm boring people to death, and I want to push the new listeners to you.
Yeah, bro. So over the last week or so, we did obviously that podcast with Luke, which is, I'm not into stats or anything, and I found it really good. So I hope that the listeners will like that one. Me and Dan did a podcast with last year's winner, Craig, just talking to him about, the decisions he made, how he came to win the game. And then we have pre-recorded our first preview pod. So we do preview all 24 teams in 3 parts. So we did the first 8 teams last night, which that will be out on Friday. And we are recording this podcast on Thursday. I'm getting confused now.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, because there's probably been a transfer made between now and me putting this out. So
the free preview pods will be out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then obviously the game starts on the 4th of August, 6:30 deadline UK time. And then we'll just be doing a Twitter Spaces, 5 till 6 UK time, just any last minute dilemmas, that kind of stuff. Obviously, Angus gets all the injury news, team news, etc. So, that might play a part. So just anything we could do to help. But then we don't want to overload everybody in the last week.
On behalf of every Planet FPL patron who plays Gaffer, Angus, thank you for your championship team news roundups. I can assure you it is absolutely invaluable, especially on the Friday deadlines. I know that can become a bit mental for you. So thank you very much for that. I don't want to repeat a lot of what you guys are going to do, and I'm sure there's going to be an overlap of discussion here. So what I'm going to do is something a little bit different, was tell you what I've got in my draft and ask for some help potentially from you guys. Because I never go asking anyone for help in FPL. Maybe I should do that. But I'm definitely not an expert in FPL. And I'd be an amateur, I guess, for Gaffer terms. So I'll put a draft together, and I'd like to challenge you guys, and get your opinion on them. So I've got a 4.0 goalkeeper and a 4.5. In the first instance, am I on the right trajectory here, or is it because of what you said about clean sheet? Should I be spending more here on a goalkeeper? Jamie's shaking his head. Go, mate.
I'd go. Well, everyone knows Dieng has gone Middlesbrough, so he was priced at 4.5 when he was at QPR. So he's basically going to be in everyone's team. It'll be really surprising to see teams without him in. So you basically just forget about the goalkeepers. Now I'm thinking the same thing. Do I just go a 4 million keeper? Because from what I know at the moment, there isn't a 4 million starting keeper. So I'm thinking of just going maybe like Charles at Sheffield Wednesday, because I know I'm not going to need a triple up on Sheffield Wednesday throughout the season.
Yeah,
that's my thinking. Or you could rotate to 4.5. I don't know what Dan or Angus think about that.
Yeah, I've got 4.5 in Dieng and Archer from QPR, because I haven't updated my draft in a while. And Archer, well, no, because they QPR sold Dieng to.
He could, in theory, go in goal, I guess.
Well, they signed Begovic, so he won't be going in goal. But yeah,
should have
I'll
Begovic. He's my mate.
Yeah, I was about to say your mate Begovic.
I should have him, but I've not got him at the moment. No,
yeah,
I've got. Go on, Dan.
Yeah, like I said, I'll just get a 4.0 probably. If we don't have a playing one, then similar to Jamie, just someone who I don't think I'll triple up on.
But what you would need, sorry, I'll go after you, Angus. Sorry.
No, go on, Jay. Go on. You got something to say. Go for it.
What you will need to do, because obviously Angus mentioned about the boosts. So we have the first set, game week 1 to 15. At some point during the next two sets, there'll be a boost called Jeepers Keepers.
And you want to use it.
Yeah. You're playing keepers there, but obviously doubles will come around from the FA Cup, postponements, whatever. So
Jeepers Keepers is an absolute madness. For the benefit of those who never played the Gaffer before, Jeepers Keepers, you'll get bonus for your keepers basically every time they make a save. I've definitely seen two keepers get like 100 points, and it's a madness. Gaffer is generally a higher scoring game than FPL as well, by the way. Angus, you 4.5 keeper and 4.0?
So I've actually set it up with two 4.5s. That might not last, particularly if I need that 0.5, but I've got two 4.5s in there at the moment.
Okay, so I feel smug already at this point because I've got Sani Dieng in goal as the 4.5 keeper, who my logic on this is Middlesbrough signed him. They nearly got promoted last year. I probably don't need to overthink this. I heard what Luke said last year in terms of not last week, sorry, in terms of not going over the top in terms of spending on keepers as well. And I owned him last year when he scored. So yes. I've got, it's like fantasy folklore. I owned a goalkeeper who scored. I couldn't believe it. So I got a bit of loyalty to him at the moment. The reserve keeper I went with at the moment was Connor Hazard. Just purely thinking at the moment, he's as likely as any of the 4.0s. I couldn't find anything like you guys have said. I'm probably less likely to end up with Plymouth. Like with QPR, they've got a rough start. I've actually got them bottom my FDR for the first 6 weeks. But I am conscious that suddenly further down the line, by the time I get into 7-8, it might be a team if they start well and then come in a better fixtures, might be kind of interesting. I feel like I'm less likely to do that with Plymouth. That's how it feels at the moment. Okay, defenders. Ryan Manning is in for me. 7 million feels a lot, but I'm reliably informed that exactly what you said. He's going to be a monster, Jamie.
Well, yes, if he plays, but us three have been debating this over the last few days. Dan and Angus thinks he plays. I'm not so sure he starts.
He plays, Jamie.
I'm not saying he won't, but they've got Livramento still. I know he's been linked. He's there, so you think he plays on the right. I just can't see a way where Walker-Peters doesn't play in the Championship.
Well, I can spoil it for you in that I've had, because obviously we're collecting feedback from all our sort of, correspondents for teams. I've had message through from Matt, clean sheet wipeout today. And in his predicted lineup, he had Walker-Peters and Manning as the fullbacks.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Well, it's good to know that Matt's got a new job anyway. Matt, very, very, very pleased. Matt is coming on Clash of the Correspondents actually in the September international break of Aaron Lager. We've got that in the diary for Southampton, Leicester actually, and no doubt we'll touch on Gaffer then. And James Bree as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's 4 there.
Play though.
Yes.
Liveramento's been strongly linked with Newcastle. I wouldn't be surprised if someone comes in and Walker Peters. I feel like he'd be a great get for a Premier League club because he can play right and left back.
Yeah, I saw something with Fulham being linked with him apparently, because they're looking to add defensive depth, obviously. So
I wouldn't be surprised about that because like Robinson and Tete are much better than what's behind. So to have someone who's equally comfortable either side who can stand in or compete with them, yeah, that's probably better than Fulham having, say, 4 competitive fullbacks, for example. Yeah, I could see that. He can play wing back as well, full back. Very talented player. Shouldn't play Championship.
No.
In all honesty, should go and play in the Premier League. Liveramento's obviously going to be class. But Swansea bullied into selling Manning then, because obviously the manager's gone now.
He left on a free.
Yeah.
He was a free agent.
That answers that one then. Are Southampton going to keep the ball for fun and not do a lot with it?
Possibly.
I watched the highlights of Southampton Bournemouth the other night, and it was too late at night to message Dan and Angus, but it was a shit show. Oops, sorry. I knew it happened. Apologies. Sorry, Nico.
Jamie, fuck it. It's fine, mate.
No, we remember last year when Martin went into Swansea and they were playing out from the back and it was a disaster, and Dan picked up on it straight away. It was very similar in that game. They are going to try to play out from the back, and it's going to cost them at times, and then it will pay off at other times. It's risky.
But we think
Manning's used to this. Manning's used to the system, so I think that will help.
Yeah.
And if Ward-Prowse goes, Manning will be on set pieces as well. I'd have thought.
Yeah, I don't want to miss out on that. Okay, I've got a couple of 6s in at the moment. These might be controversial. Cody Drammer of Leeds United, Angus, who did obviously very well at Luton. I presume he's going to stay. Leeds have sold Rasmus Christensen. That feels like a logical one to me, or have I misread that?
Well, he's in my draft, so
okay, that's good.
I think he's the more likely one to play. I mean, obviously, there's a little bit of uncertainty because obviously he plays the same position as Luke Ayling.
Yeah, sure.
But under Daniel Farker, who's the manager now, who obviously wants to play more attacking football, it seems like a no-brainer for Drama to start over Luke Ayling.
Is that how you see it, Dan? You obviously know the player well.
Yeah, he's a very good player, and I'm hoping Leeds sort of phase out Ayling and Cooper. They've obviously got Cresswell at centre-back, who's done well at Millwall last year, so I think this would be the right time to evolve the team and get in some of the youngsters like Drama and Cresswell.
Yeah, Sam Greenwood may be another one as well, who I was thinking about a little bit as well. I've not got him in at the moment. Jamie, Cody Drama?
Yeah, he's in mine at the moment.
Okay.
We had a little panic about an hour ago because Leeds are playing in a friendly and he's not in the squad. So we're like, oh no. Well, apparently it is just a minor little knock. So yeah, Drama will be in for me if it looks like he's going to start.
Okay, I suggest this one will be more controversial. Another 6 million, Jack Stacey of Norwich.
Not controversial.
I was about to say, I'm not sure you can have much pushback. No,
that's all right, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I had him in Gaffer when he was at Bournemouth. And yourselves, another player you obviously know really well as well, Dan, because he was at your place as well. Did great. I guess because I'm not as into the game as obviously the Premier League formats, that sticks to me. He did well at Bournemouth. I know Norwich didn't have a great season last year. Got, other than Southampton away, first 6 are pretty good. Sorry, Jamie. I know you go there in game week 6, but have got a good start as well. And I feel like I want a piece of that.
Yeah, I'd agree. He was ridiculous for Luton, and whenever I've seen him, even at Bournemouth, he's definitely better going forward, and he could end up basically playing as winger for this Norwich side. So, and throughout pre-season, all the fans have been raving about him. I think he's got a couple of assists and things like that. So, yeah, you'll realise there's loads of wing backs or full backs throughout the prices that you'll want. So, but Stacey is high up there.
Okay. I picked someone who scored in a friendly the other night. Joe Rankin Costello, 5.5 Blackburn Rovers. I'm getting nods and smiles. Have I done well here, lads?
Yeah.
Talk to me about him. I don't know a lot about him, but I had a little search through Gaffer earlier, and he was probably the most mentioned name, and I went, oh, I better go with that.
So I should probably take this one because I'm sort of, I've sort of almost like his biggest fan now.
Okay.
So I did start mentioning him last season. I think he was significantly cheaper last season, but he's someone who I think has been converted back from a winger to a fullback, which obviously makes him still better sort of going forward, and that's sort of his natural instinct. So he gets quite involved going forward. They normally have someone on that side who sort of moves infield, and he sort of takes up that role outside. So he's heavily involved. And they also had a friendly where he scored a hat trick, which I think set a lot of people off. So, but yeah, so another one of these really attacking fullbacks who I think could do very well.
A centre back's generally a no go. Then is it got to be fullbacks? Like I had Jones and Jones most of last season.
Yeah, so I think with centre backs for me, it's if you need someone who's definitely going to play, then you're more likely to go with the centre back, obviously, and particularly play the 90. But in terms of beyond that, no, you're really looking at fullbacks.
What position is Leif Davis?
Left back.
Okay, he's in as well. 5 million from Ipswich Town. Who I don't know if the bookies are overrating a little bit, actually.
Don't start, Dan.
Go on, Dan. You're not happy about that, no?
I just think they're massively overrated. I think everyone's expecting them to do what Sunderland did, but if you look at what Sunderland team had, they had Jack Clark and Patrick Roberts, Diallo on loan, Stewart. We've seen some of these attacking players at Ipswich, and they've not done great at the Championship before. I'm not saying they're going to be down and they're down near the bottom, but I'm not sure they fifth favourites.
This is that clip that's going to go round and go viral in 9 months, isn't it? When Ipswich have won the title by 10 points.
Yeah, no, I can't see it personally, but they're nice price in Gaffer, and they should be good assets.
Yeah, they're priced up like what they are, a promoted team, right? But there is an expectation that they could be better than that. That bookies ain't often wrong. The manager's very highly rated.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they've come up with Plymouth, who are maybe less fancied, but as we've spoken about on other pods, a sizable football club who can grow. And obviously Sheffield Wednesday have come up as well, but Sheffield Wednesday haven't been priced up like Ipswich, right? I mean, the bookies have got Ipswich about 6th or 7th in the betting, I think, haven't they?
Yeah. Fifth last time I checked.
Do you agree with that, Jamie? Do you see them being playoff contenders?
I'll be honest. I've always said I don't watch any League One whatsoever. So
I'm not sure if you watch any Championship, mate.
Unfortunately, I do. League One, I don't watch anything. So I know Luke's big on Davies. A lot of goal contributions, like assists last season. But we have this all the time. Was it Jacobson who was at Wickham a few years ago? He was on penalties. It's a complete different league, so I take no notice of League One.
So he's my 5th defender, and he's 5 million. Is that too much? Because on the opening day they go to Sunderland, so probably wouldn't start him, but I might do in some of the other ones afterwards. And it does give me a bit of insurance if suddenly one of my players leaves, as an example.
Well, he's my 5th defender, so
right.
We're thinking along the same lines.
Are you any good at this game, Angus?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
All right, we'll take that. He's not in for you. I'm taking it then, Dan.
Leif Davis is in for me.
Oh, so he's in after all that.
Yeah, but like I said, it's the price. The price is a nice price, but I'm not sure they're going to do quite as well as people think they will do.
Have you all got James Ward-Prowse?
Oh yeah,
I've taken him out, but if he's staying, he'll go back in.
I'm in two minds about it because it's just he's going to go, isn't he?
That's my concern.
It's not like there's certain ones like Iheanacho and stuff, and you think, oh, I'm not sure, and There's no way a Premier League club's not getting hold of Ward-Prowse, surely. He's
Yeah,
probably just
basically,
waiting
as
to
soon
get
as
the
the
price
first-
down, isn't it?
As soon as the first West Ham bid went in, he came out my team.
So he's not in mine at the moment. The premium mid I've gone with, and you certainly can go with more than one, is John Swift of West Brom.
Okay.
That didn't get wholesale for the audio benefit listeners. That didn't get wholesale approval. Tell me why not, Jamie?
West Brom, not big on West Brom. Swift is good, like as a bonus player. But last year, you're paying 10 million for him in West Brom. I don't fancy them at all. If I'm going to pay 10 million for someone, I'm going to want someone from the team who's going to be up there. Where with West Brom, is he going to play deeper? Will he play in the 10? You kind of 50-50 with Wallace to go Swift or Wallace.
Yeah, I get that.
For 10 million, I kind of want, someone who is going to boss it every single week.
I went with Swift. I went with Swift because I listened to Luke, and I know he knows his onions, and I was looking at XA stats, and he really does show up pretty nicely.
Yeah,
and so that's why I went there.
I actually like him as an option, and I like him much more than Jeb Wallace. To me, he's definitely the better of the two. Part of the thing that put me off was I had Ward-Prowse and I didn't want to go with both of them. And then
sense.
the other part was I saw Leeds away and Middlesbrough at home looming in 3 and 4, and that put me off. But otherwise, I think even against those, he could do well. So I have no issue with that one.
I think part of thinking as well is wanting to be up at that I'm not major on him. But if I don't go with Ward-Prowse, I feel like I am going with someone underneath, almost on there at a value perspective, rather than going, oh no, now I've got a. And the problem is, you say, chop from the defense. What am I chopping? Like, it becomes tough and stuff. Yeah. So I kind of feel like I want to be at that value, even in case someone new comes into the league. Has Sarmiento been priced up, by the way?
Not yet. I think we know the price, but he's not
a Brighton player,
yet.
so I'm automatically very, very interested in him.
He's going in at 8 mil.
Okay, that's 2 million saved, possibly. I've got Keane and Dewsbury Hall at the moment.
Yes.
Which, okay, that one did get good approval. It's 7.5, and the FPL listeners people, what? But he's going to be instrumental for them, I think, isn't he?
He's going to be the most underpriced player in the game.
Okay, cool.
And we've realised that now in hindsight.
Didn't you guys do the pricing?
Yeah.
So it's your fault?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that's so great, by the way, that you did the pricing. FPL Towers, like, if you want some advice, ask the other FPL content creators who've got a bit more time. They'll be more than happy to help you. Is he assuring for all of you guys then?
100%.
Especially we watched the friendly, didn't we, Jamie? And
yeah,
they're going to play like Man City, and basically the centre mids at the time was Ward-Prowse and Pratt, basically box to box and near enough every chance.
Signed for Leicester.
Dewsbury
Hall.
I'm knowing all these double barrels. I know.
Yeah. So many chances were falling to those two box to box midfielders, to the point where I know Jamie's even debated Pratt if it looks like he
I looked at him, yeah.
6 million. If he starts, it's amazing value because those two playing as eights, because Winks is sitting in there dictating play, and then you've had Pereira in there with him. Yeah, so good. Those two will be at 6 million and 7.5.
Harry Winks, in theory, with Leicester's change of style, could, if he stays fit and plays regularly for Leicester, which I expect he will, he could top the passing numbers in the whole league, couldn't he?
100%, yeah.
So does that make him an option in this or not?
I don't think so, because you need those sort of key passes, setting up chances and that sort of thing. So if there was a Sky Championship game, he'd be one of the best players in the game. But
yeah, of course, absolutely. Right, this one I reckon is going to be really controversial. I think these are going to get more controversial as they go on. Tom Ince of Watford. 7 million. No, they're not happy about that. I'm looking at it, guys. They've got 2 home games to start with. QPR and Plymouth.
He doesn't play, does he?
Will he play?
I think he's been brought in as a squad player. I don't know about you.
But Sar's gone, hasn't he?
Yeah. So we actually, in our part 1, that we recorded last night, we did cover Watford, and the anticipation is he's not going to start. So he might be one you have to replace.
Fine. Okay, fine. Well,
Just
so I got
swap for loser.
Yeah, get loser in there.
Find a millionaire and get Sarmiento in, I think, or get
Yeah.
Swift down to Sarmiento. And so is loser a better choice then? What would be the best offensive choices from Watford? Because I'm just looking at it and going, those first two, and actually it's 4 of the first 6 at home, because Blackburn at home in 4, Birmingham at home in 6, Stoke and Coventry, the 2 respective away games. Like, I've got them top of the FDR for the first 6, and it's part of the fact that, is it the QPR game that's been switched, I think?
Yeah,
I want to say, why did it get switched? Do we know?
Probably their pitch or something.
Okay.
You know, these annoying clubs that get games postponed and things like that.
There was some police reason they moved it by a day because of like police or something.
Was it the cricket?
It could be. I know there was something.
Cricket be finished.
No, they've swapped it.
No, what date was
They've
it?
Swapped it
In August.
No, they've just
it's
swapped
only day of
from,
season, Jay.
They swapped. There was something to do with, I think it was policing for something else.
Okay, fair enough. In any case, those 2 home games, and I know again they underwhelmed last year, but something could go off there, couldn't it? So, what have you guys got any Watford at all in your teams at the moment?
I do.
I haven't.
Dan's like, I refuse. Luton.
No, I've got one.
Who have you got, Dan?
Loser.
So why is this kind of like the same theories like Dewsbury Hall and Ward Prowse? Is that what this is in terms of that selection?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Angus.
Yeah.
So set piece is obviously a big thing. They've hired Valerian Ismail, so it's not necessarily going to be the best football, which is where some of these other assets aren't necessarily going to be useful. But it's sort of very effective, very sort of direct, quite set piece focused as well. So having the set piece taker obviously helps, and I think also with them going direct, I think the most likely player to then be picking up the second balls is Loser as well. So that's why I've gone with him.
Okay. Anything else? Anything for the forwards should be considered? Like, who will start up front for them?
We don't know. They're potentially bringing in someone else as well. I think
I'd be keen to punt that for the 2 games.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think if you really want someone who's likely to be playing in sort of the front 3, it's probably Ken Sema.
Yeah, looked at him. I just never feel like he's going to do enough.
No.
He owned him a bit last year and the year before, I think, actually.
And he's 8 million now as well.
Yeah, said more than Ince. Yeah, okay. I've just realised I've got $1 million in the bank. What price is those are?
It's 7.
It's the same price. I could just literally swap that. Okay. Are you just, I've mentioned that. Money in the bank or not?
At the moment, I've got 4 million in the bank.
Okay, that's slightly interesting, Angus. Is that just because you haven't decided where you're spending it yet?
It's because
Ward Prowse.
Yeah, I sold Ward Prowse and I haven't done anything else with the money yet.
Dan, any money in the bank?
Fully spent. I've got 2 expensive forwards in my lineup where it more is like placeholders. Yeah, I've got no money in the bank. But like I said, I've not really tinkered with my draft because the teams have been so up in the air. It's not really been worth it, to be honest. I know sort of the players I want, but yeah, I've not really changed it for a while.
Jamie?
I haven't done a proper draft. I don't do drafts until the last week. It's so pointless.
Do you want to leave this podcast and come back another time?
I just can't be asked to keep changing. Like when a player leaves, I can't be asked to keep changing. I'd rather just focus on the last week.
You're literally only here so I can promote your podcast. Love it.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Right, let's get this back on. Let's get this back on track. Barry Bannon, or as Luke would say, Barry Banan.
Yeah.
Barry Bannon is a decent selection, isn't it? 6.5 Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, I think so. Talisman, another one of these set piece takers, focal hub for their attack. So yeah, I totally get that.
Okay.
Don't feel great about Sheffield Wednesday as a whole. Like if I done my 1 to 24s, I'd have them bottom at the minute. But Sheffield Wednesday will, if they're going to do anything, it's going to come through Barry Bannon.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the second leg against Peterborough, and I watched the final as well. I wasn't overly impressed. It made me think, oh, you're going to be ready, but yeah, they've changed the manager, which seems harsh in itself. Maybe we'll get a new team. It wouldn't be the first team to come up unexpected, Dan, and do really well. And I guess that's you mentioned the Sunderland analogy. I guess that's what they're thinking with Ipswich as well. I've got a 4.5 midfielder, lads. Is that a mistake or not? Jamie grinned like a Cheshire cat. Go on, Jay.
It depends who it is. Is it Rowe?
No.
Oh, okay.
What's wrong with Rowe?
Nothing. He's just been starting a lot in Norwich's pre-season games.
Who's Rowe? Oh, it's okay, fine.
Yeah.
Is he a wide player?
Yeah.
I think I have seen him once. No, I've got Matt Butcher of Plymouth.
I don't know who that is.
I saw someone mention him as a
literally
someone mentioned him as a good 4.5 option. But is that because I've kind of picked 13 starters if we include a goalkeeper here. He's like, I could look at him and go, you're definitely last sub every week at the moment. Is it all right to have that sort of strategy, bearing in mind, say, if I've decided I'm unlikely to use Goalfest early in the season and that sort of thing? Is that an all right strategy, or should I be having two players like that, for example?
I had Sam Field at 4.5 last year. Like, he didn't leave third sub all season. So I always like to have one on there just as that enabler.
Angus, is that your theory as well?
Yeah, so I mean, I've had Rowe most pre-season, seeing him play. He'll now go for me, but I will have a 4.5 in there, yeah.
And Dan?
Similar to me. Unless you're going to plan on having like midfield dynamos pretty early on where you'll want 5 starting midfielders. I'll definitely have a 4.5. And it'll probably just be a player who'll get 2 points or something.
All right, cool. It's interesting, though, because obviously in FPL, there's a lot of thin your bench out, 3 4.0s and 1 4.5 at the start. That doesn't feel advisable in this game. Is that right?
Yeah, because you play midweek weekends, you need your bench, really. There's loads of times where you'll hear, because it's not like the Premier League where, Angus does his press conference stuff on a Friday, but they don't give a lot away. So you could get to Saturday and you keep players down and you're like, what's happened here? And then Angus will have people moaning at him like he's made it up. It's just so unpredictable. Like, you need a bench. You do need at least a playing bench.
Okay. Any premium forwards at the moment, guys?
I'm an Armstrong, but who knows? Is it going to be Armstrong or Adams? It's so odd. Like Iheanacho and Vardy are there. It's a minefield.
I can answer that for you, Jamie, because I've got Che Adams.
Okay.
Che Adams.
Dan's got Che Adams.
And I've got Adam Armstrong.
Wow. it's a Desmond, guys. It's a TT. So, okay, that's interesting, though, because there is therefore an agreement then on the Southampton forward, is there? Between all 4 of us.
Yeah, so, as soon as whoever's starting out of Adams and Armstrong, if you find out, I'll have him, whoever it is, because in this league, both of them are in my top 5 strikers I've seen in the Championship.
Would there be a case for me then, do you think, if I'm going without Ward-Prowse, to drop Swift down in money and go both?
Sure, they both
and
start.
Come down. No, I get that, but then come down. That sounds absurd, doesn't it? Let me go with 2 premiums and find out which one starts. Like, saying it out loud, I'm like, what are you talking about, James?
I think if you were creating that budget, there's some of the higher priced guys at other teams that would probably fill the spot better in terms, and then being able to swap with if you needed to, the Southampton striker rather than going with both of them.
Last year, the forwards in this feels like underwhelmed a little bit, partly because the year before we had like Mitrovic, Brereton, Diaz, and it was someone else. I felt like the whole game Solanke, yeah. I feel like the whole game had those 3 forwards near enough the whole of the second half of the season. Last year didn't feel like that in this format. But from that group of 10 million plus, Iheanacho, Adams, Chuba Apcom of Middlesbrough, Vardy, Armstrong, Bamford, and I don't know why he priced Perot at Swansea at 10 million, but apparently I heard that you had to. One of them's going to go off big, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the one for me that I assumed wasn't going to be in the division, but as it gets closer, I feel like he might be, is Iheanacho. If Iheanacho stays, he'll just explode.
But if Vardy and Daka both stay as well, there's enough concern there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think Daka might play wide.
Okay.
Would be the other concern. I think he's been used primarily wide in pre-season, so I guess that would be the concern with him. So it's basically Iheanacho or Vardy, which I suppose is difficult enough as it is.
So because Armstrong can play wide as well, right? Did it quite a lot last season.
He can play from the left.
So they could play together.
Potentially, yeah. But again, nobody likes the uncertainties going into game week 1. You don't want to be rushed or forced into that overhaul.
So maybe the right decision then is Chuba Apcom, Millwall at home, one game. What are you shouting your heads for?
He won't play.
Why not?
He's injured.
Okay, that's a good reason. Why is Pirro 10 then? Talk to me.
What is it? 41 goals in the last 2 seasons. So he had to go up in price, basically.
Linked with Leicester as well. So if Iheanacho goes, there's a high chance Pirro goes to Leicester.
Oh, I've got Vardy, Iheanacho and Daka, and I've dropped into the Championship. Let me go and look for a forward. Doesn't quite strike me as a priority at the moment. There's big pull at Southampton as well, isn't there? On Uachu, who people didn't see a lot of in the Premier League last year. He's an absolute giant, isn't he? Could he get a look in as well?
He's not even the tallest forward in the Championship. Poor guy. He can't even claim that.
Wow.
But no, we've talked quite a bit about tall Paul, but I'm not sure whether he'll sort of get in the team ahead of the other two.
Okay. I've got Adams at the moment, but I'm very, very aware that needs to be kind of on the ball right till last minute. And probably whichever one I go with probably gets the armband in game week 1, I would say. Southampton have got Wednesday away, which is the Friday night. That help. Angus, do you get team leaks as well, mate?
No. If anyone sort of at clubs or knows people at clubs wants to feed me leaks, I'll be fine with that. But I don't get anything at the moment.
Is the deadline hour and a half before?
Yeah.
Okay. Leicester have got Coventry at home, which is challenging. Leeds have got Cardiff at home. If I knew Bamford was going to play and feel comfortable, I'd even maybe look at that one. Cardiff Birmingham's decent first 2 for Leeds, I think, as well. I'm conscious of that. Second forward I've got with Adams at the moment is Josh Sargent of Norwich.
25.
And I just feel like they've got a decent run of fixtures at the start and it's consistent enough. Pookie's gone and I'm probably going to be playing around with other fires that I like the idea of having him there as sit there. He's actually done I was very critical of him in the Premier League, but he actually did all right for me when I owned him at bits last year as well.
I think he enjoyed being the main man. Sorry, Jay. I think he enjoyed it when he came in for Pookie and was the main man. I think that was the best thing for him.
Go on, Jay.
Well, we spoke about Norwich last night on the part 1, and we were discussing they've signed Ashley Barnes from Burnley. So looking at pre-season, we're not quite sure if he's going to play through the middle, behind Barnes, or even on the left-hand side. So I'd like more information on that. If he is going to be the centre forward, he's definitely a great option.
What's happened to Adam Eder? He's just not recovered from that injury.
Yeah, I think that's the issue.
Yeah, shame that. Dan, do you want to guess my third forward? You already know who it is.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Well, I've got Lewis Semedo.
No,
you might.
Angus can guess it now. He knows where I've gone with this.
No, I've completely lost it.
No, Jamie.
I haven't got a clue, James.
Well, I was listening to Luke last week, so it's Nathan Broadhead, isn't it?
Of course.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Dan's not happy. That's very reasonable at 6 million, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
To enable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fixtures are okay. Once you get past the Sunderland one, Stoke, with respect, Jay at home, QPR away, Leeds, Cardiff at home, Sheffield Wednesday away. It's all right. It's all right. I did consider your boy, Jamie Campbell.
A lot of people have. He scored a couple of goals early on in pre-season.
I don't like that name, and I don't want to look at it in my teams.
He's playing out wide. I wouldn't advise Campbell. He's gone back to the left-hand side now. So, yeah.
A lot of the Gaffer community want your opinion on Josh Tymon, don't they?
Yeah, that was to me, Eden. I'll be honest.
That's what I've asked.
No, if you asked me a week ago, I'd be like, no, we've got Ender Stevens in now. he's been poor timing since his injury. But Tuesday night, he was really good. And Alex Neil even said after the game that was his best game at left back for me. If he plays against Everton on Saturday, I think he'll be in for against Rotherham. And then 5 million, we could tell you for bonus. He's very good. He's constantly putting balls into the box. Yeah, we got him from Hull a couple of years ago. Well, quite a few years ago, actually, now.
Yeah, left-sided, right?
Yeah, left-sided, 5 million, 0.5 cheaper than Hoover. So he is good value if he starts. That was my concern. And I'm still not convinced because of Stevens.
Who have the bookies got it more wrong about, Jamie? Is it Ipswich or Stoke?
What they got us at around 16th, where we finished last season. No, I'd probably say that's pretty accurate.
Weren't they tipping you up to be playoff challengers, no? Or is that calmed down now?
We get to, for the last 5 years, we've been tipped to go up every year because on paper, we've always had a good squad.
Is that just because Bet365 know what money they're going to get from Stoke fans?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. But this is the first year where we've had an actual rebuild. A lot of players left in the summer. A lot of players are starting to come in through the door now. So you don't know what you're getting off Stoke. Like in March last year, we battered Coventry, we battered Sunderland away, and then we're capable of losing to Rotherham at home. So, yeah.
Couple of teams we've not really spoke about. I'd just like to get your opinion on a couple who've got good fixtures at the start. Preston. Is there anything there that should really be considered? I've got them second best for the first 6. Includes a really nice first 4.
Annoyingly, Calvin Ramsey hasn't played in pre-season because he's one I've sort of had my eye on, but he's barely played. I think he finally got some minutes recently, but he's
Liverpool's Ramsey. Has he gone there on loan?
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting considering they might be looking for a new right back, Liverpool.
Yeah.
I had him in Fantasy Scotland.
Yeah.
Which I had to give up because they pissed about with the app too much last year.
Absolutely.
But the year before I had him when he was at Aberdeen and good. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's likely to be the starting right wing back for them. So if he looks like he's going to make the start of the season, then he's on radar for me.
Yeah, that's a cheeky one. I'm quite interested in that actually. Anything offensively from them?
I've forgotten his name. Is it Frokier?
Frokier Jensen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's highly rated, isn't he? But I couldn't tell you anything about him there. Yeah, it is a punt.
Everyone's highly rated if you speak to the wrong person. What about Bristol City, the likes of Wells and Vyman?
Yeah, they're tough because it's particularly in the attack, working out who's going to start. Dan, I know I had to sort of work on the preview, so he might be able to give you a better answer.
All right.
Easily, they've got 2 players for each position, and they'll likely rotate. We saw that a lot last year. So if you get like a forward Wells or Conway that look like they're going to start, I think they'll do well. But it's just rotation, and with the Championship Saturday, Tuesday, it could be more of a headache than anything else.
All right, let's finish with some round the table quick fire questions. Who would be, Jamie, if you had to lock in your team now? And I know you haven't done a draft, but you know the best players' prices, don't you?
Yeah.
If you had to lock in now, captain game week 1,
James Ward-Prowse.
Angus,
Adam Armstrong,
Dan.
He's there, James Ward-Prowse.
All right, I'm going to say Che Adams. Jamie, best bottom price player in the game, any position.
Bottom price. I'll go Rowe, 4.5. If you can get that team, great value.
At Norwich, okay.
Yeah.
Angus?
Yeah, I think at the moment he's the pick.
Okay, Dan, pick someone else.
Oh, bloody hell. You've put me on the spot.
Takes Butcher out.
Yeah.
Butcher out, Ince out, Swift out. I don't feel like I've done too bad.
No, you've done all right. No, it's really hard, the low prices, because a lot of them just aren't playing. Like, we've got a 4.5 striker, but it's like third choice at Plymouth. And even the 4.0s, a lot of them are just not going to play.
To be honest, guys, give yourself a pat on the back, because if you've done the price and that's the case, you've done it right. Because you don't want it to be just one that comes out and it's, oh no. Dan's going to speak to us on us next week about Issa Kabora, isn't he? I don't need to hear a lot more about it. That's a spoiler for all you Amari Bell owners out there, by the way. Who's going to win the league, Jamie?
Leicester.
Angus?
Southampton.
Dan?
Leicester at the minute.
Jamie, will Luton stay up?
Yes.
Angus?
No.
So
You know what I'm going to say.
No, I'll wait till Wednesday and I'll ask you then, mate.
I think Luton will do well, and I think they'll give a good account of themselves. At the moment, if I was predicting it, I'd have them as like 18th place.
Are Burnley the strongest?
They're there or thereabouts.
Are Burnley the strongest of the three teams that come up?
Yeah,
they are, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can play that way in the Premier League. I'm really interested to see that.
Just elaborate on that a bit, Joe.
The way they play, obviously, it was a complete change of style from what we used to, and a lot of the FPL players have been used to. But the way they dominated games, obviously Matson's not there at the moment. He's obviously gone back to Chelsea. I think it was very risky in the Championship. They did give a lot away points. I mean, we drew there at Turf Moor with them. They basically give us the goal at the end. If they're going to lose a lot of points doing that in the Premier League.
All right. One more Championship question then. And I'll start with you this time, Dan. Golden Boot winner.
I'm going to say Hero.
Wow. Angus?
I'm going to say Ellis Sims.
I considered him, but you know what really put me off? It's the same with Elias Chow. Them fixtures at the start are rancid, aren't they?
Yeah. So I've sort of kept coming back around. He keeps scoring for them in pre-season, and I keep sort of looking at him, and then I look at the fixtures. I'm like, no, I'll come back for that.
I mean, QPR got Watford, Cardiff, Southampton, Middlesbrough all away in 4 of their first 5, and obviously had a horrendous second half of last season. Coventry's story, obviously, last year remarkable, but Leicester away, Middlesbrough at home, Swansea away, Sunderland at home, Watford at home. That's a rough first 5 as well, actually. Jamie, who for you, Golden Boot?
Adam Armstrong.
All right, nicely done. Why couldn't he hit a barn door in the Premier League?
I have no idea.
I really thought he'd be good, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, strange one. I wouldn't be surprised if he tears it up again. Guys, thank you, all 3 of you, so much. Where can everyone follow the podcast on the app formerly known as Twitter? And Jamie, you're the host, so you've got to say, even though you probably can't remember the handle.
No, Angus is the admin of the podcast, but it's EFL_fantasy. Find us on there. And to be honest, we just want people to come play the game, even if you don't listen to us. Like, obviously, we'd like you to listen to us. But just play the game. Honestly, it's such a good game.
It's fun.
And it helps you to gain knowledge. So when your Lutons come up, you haven't got to look at stupid threads from people who've never watched the game. You will know who the good assets are.
Are you digging out your mate Luke again?
No.
Actually, he doesn't do threads. He's come off the thing, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's come off, yeah.
Can't say I blame him. Everyone else will be off it soon enough as well, I should imagine. Is it you running that account, Angus?
Yes, it is. So,
is that because you haven't got enough on your plate? Or
apparently not. I've also... I guess if we're doing sort of rounding up, I'm also doing content for the Super League game this year as well. So,
do you want to cover that? Just briefly, just tell people what it is. It's a good thing to do, actually.
Yeah, so the Super League is sort of the second format Gaffer are running. They did it a couple of years ago and then didn't do it last year. It's the top 4 teams from the big 5 leagues in Europe last season that are all in there.
And that's based on final position, isn't it? Before Liverpool fans log in and start losing their shit.
So before Liverpool fans in particular, Chelsea fans as well, before they start coming for the people behind the game.
Okay, cool. That's got to be priced somewhat weirdly. I'm interested. What price is like a Saka? What does he come in at there? Do you know?
9, was he?
8.5-ish, I think.
Yeah.
It's probably similar. Haaland, is he like top price? Is it Haaland top price? Is it like
13, I think? Him and Mbappe.
Yeah.
And Lewandowski.
You might go, that's really cheap, but then the difference between FPL and this is you got to fit in your Haaland's, Lewandowski, and Mbappe if he stays. You got to make some obviously really tough decision for that. Yeah, that's an interesting format as well. Yeah, I take it the scoring's the same as the Championship version.
Mm-hmm.
All right, super stuff. When's the next pod out, Jamie? Since it's your show.
So they're going to come out on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're the 3 parts of the preview, and then there'll be nothing next week, just the Twitter Spaces on Friday afternoon. So yeah, please come join us on that. Come have a chat with us. It's very laid back. You can tell from this podcast. I'm just there for shits and giggles. Angus and Dan will give you all the information. Yeah, it's quite fun.
Blinding, good stuff. Dan's got to concentrate on a different league this year, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You might need a replacement. You might get bored of them, Dan, if you stay up. Now, guys, that's really good. Thank you so much. I'd like to add that I echo exactly what Jamie said, actually. It's a fun game. It's really enjoyable. The community smaller, which frankly means there's less dickheads in it. Everyone gets along and wants to be quite helpful and stuff, and it's really enjoyable. And I tell you what, you will now bash out some high scores on some weeks and be like, the best ones, you log in 130 and your game week rank is like halfway or something. It's a single game week. What's that deal?
Week, like, but there's been 200s. So yeah, it's really fun for that.
Yeah, some monster scores, particularly when some of them boosts get played, and that's important. That adds an incentive as well. So even if you start badly, you've got 9 boosts to play during the season, easily make up some space and stuff. And a little bit like with Sky Fantasy, there's every chance that we'll know the winner, which is nice as well. So someone in the community will likely win it. And what's the prize?
I think it's just a trophy, isn't it?
Oh, there's actually a trophy.
Yeah.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think there's a
Jamie,
trophy.
what would me and you know about trophies and teams we support, mate?
Exactly, yeah. Hey, we won one on Tuesday night against Burton. I can't remember what it's called.
So did we. We won the Tiger Cup.
Something.
Harry Kane's going to stay now because his dreams have been fulfilled. Right, personal accounts then. Angus, anything you want to promote?
So it's at Angus81. If you want to follow me, occasionally I tweet about sort of random stuff that I'm actually interested in. Otherwise, you'll find the injury roundups every week for Gaffer. They're still going to be going.
Don't you put it on an Excel and people can just log in? So
there's a Google sheet that is still my pinned tweet. I think that is still last season's at the moment, but will be there if you want to go in. And there's both sort of the basic injury news and the likelihood of the players playing, and then there's a separate tab with sort of any other sort of notes, timelines given, other comments from the managers there as well.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, guys. I don't like using the word essential, but that bit of kit is massive, mate. Fair game to you. Jamie, where can everyone follow you? Anything you want to sell other than your season ticket?
Jamie _Gaffer. Don't bring FPL nonsense over to me because I won't follow back. That's it. I have fed up of seeing that on my timeline.
Just mute people, mate. You can mute me if you want. Sorry about that.
I just unfollowed them all, and I'm just happy and slack.
Have you unfollowed me?
No, I've kept you. I like you.
Cheers, babe. And Dan, anything you want to plug other than Correspondent Week?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm now the Luton Correspondent, and my handle is at Dan Luke Ashby. I'm having to talk a bit more about FPL this season, which it makes me laugh when people comment where they've never even seen Luton play. But I've had a couple of disagreements on Twitter, but I will help you guys out. I will help you guys out if you need anything Luton related.
Good stuff. Luton's Correspondent Week, Dan's Luton Correspondent Week podcast will be out on Wednesday morning. You're my last recording of a shitload on Monday, Dan. So I look forward. I might bring a beer to that one with you, which will then look weird if I'm drinking a beer at 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning for those on YouTube. Blinding. Dan Luke Ashby on Twitter. Welcome to the Planet FPL team. Angus, Jamie, Dan, thank you both so much. Good luck for the season in Gaffer and for the pod. Drop the guys a follow. Give them a listen over the weekend. Get all your info on all 24 teams in the championship this season. Just sees me to say thanks again, guys. Good luck if you're playing. Cue music, please. Man child.